What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, talk about other factors out there, what you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer ends very soon at the end of March. Anyways, as far as the market's going, we're seeing Tesla trying to rebound right now as we got lots of good news so far today. We're going to be watching to see how Tesla reacts to our 4-hour 20 EMA as we have 348 coming up as resistance. So I'll talk more about this in just a couple of minutes. Just know a couple of things. We're seeing a lot of talk right now about how Tesla could be eyeing a $2 trillion market cap very soon with the new capabilities that are going to be coming out. We also started to see a lot of talk about Tesla's price target being upgraded from different analysts expecting about $425 a share or even well above that. There's a lot of talk about AI that's gotten many of these investors excited, and a large majority of them are once again in favor of either buying or holding. So that's once again good news for Tesla. There's also some news right over here about how Tesla is readying a software update for customers in China, which is supposed to offer driver assistance capabilities, which are very similar to those that are marked as FSD in the US, according to someone that's very familiar in the matter. I just want to say that we're seeing a lot of this talk about FSD being launched potentially in China, or at least lots of it driving assist features like that, which is going to help Tesla collect a lot more data. Once again, very, very good for improving their technologies. That's another good piece of news. And then Tesla's also planning on cutting the price of the Model Y in their inventory because they're trying to get rid of these as much as possible so that they can get ready for the next refresh, which is launching very, very soon. Very exciting news, if anything. I can't wait to see what this leads to, at least moving forward. But looking at the current discounted Model Y price, we're seeing a very, very big change relative to the new one. So the current rear RWD Model Y is at about $42,000. That's the starting inventory price. And then it actually goes down to about $34,340 with credits. That's before taxes and fees. The current AWD Model Y is at about $44,000. Once again, before tax credits and etc., we have about 36,000. If you do include the credits, and then you guys can see the last price right over here from 60,000 to about 52,000 with the credits. Very, very good news for them. That's for the new AWD launch edition. Uh, Very, very interesting stuff. So they're trying to get rid of these inventories as much as they can. And then hopefully, once we get the next launch of the Model Y, that's going to be a big hit. Besides that, today is Monday. Keep in mind we have some bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. May cause some volatility, but besides that, there's nothing else that's too crazy that's coming out. And then I also want to add that we have Berkshire Hathaway, which announced earnings. Later on, we have HIMS announcing earnings. Then we have the Home Depot on Tuesday alongside AMC. And on Wednesdays, we have the big Nvidia's earnings, which is going to be a make or break for the stock market. So get ready for that. Berkshire Hathaway had its operating earnings at about $14.5 billion. That's up from about $8.48 billion a year ago. And overall, their operating earnings are up about 27%. That's pretty good, at least thus far. Q4 results were powered by insurance, underwriting, and the list goes on. They did relatively well, better than expected, especially as their operating businesses, they still did well despite the decline that they saw in other earnings. But overall, we're seeing record cash flows for them at about $33.4 billion. And their earnings are quite good. So that's the reason why the share prices is still quite well. So if you go back to Berkshire Hathaway, the business is still booming, and they have once again seen some nice growth overall. Good news, at least for them thus far. Besides that, they are hoarding a lot of cash, getting ready to buy a lot of dips that could be coming, especially during these volatile times. Besides that, I didn't see anything else that was too crazy on the news, so let's now just focus on Tesla. So the market's trying to rebound. If Tesla were to end up losing this 338 area, I do think it's going to be at risk of returning to the lows. We kissed 331 before we ended up bouncing. So instead of losing that support. We touched it, then we bounced. I was predicting we'd get very close to 330 to 225 before we tried to bounce. Came super close to that range. We actually hit 331 before it ended up bouncing. So now we're looking for an attempt to retest 348. If we break that, we're going to re-enter this range, and we could be looking for an attempt for 360 again. So I do anticipate that we do push to about 348, maybe dip a little bit to the lower 340s, and then continue to push back to about 355, continuing to consolidate in this range. There's a very, very strong chance that's what's about to happen. For SPY, we're gapping up right now. We're testing this resistance. Now, if SPY loses 602, there's going to be a risk of it returning to about 599 to 600 to fill that gap. As long as we're above 602, we favor a move back up to fill this imbalance to push back up to 606 to 607. Okay, so as long as we're above 602, I'm looking for an attempt for 605 and 607. If we lose 602, look for this gap fill. As of right now, we're favoring upside. Looks like it wants to bounce. So it dipped a bit to about 598 and bounced. So overall, it's looking quite good. But let's see if we can hold 602 just for confirmation. Same thing with the triple Q. So if I was thinking it would dip a little bit more before it tries to bounce. We came just short of 524, but it's okay. So if we end up losing 527, we're looking for a dip to fill this gap to about 525. As long as we're above the 527s, we're favoring 530, then eventually 532. So I think there's a good chance we try to push for 530 very, very soon as we're seeing a nice bounce attempt. For the Russell 2000, if we end up losing support at 218, we're looking for a dip to fill that gap at 217. As long as we're above 218, we're looking for an attempt to slowly uptrend for 221. So just keep that in mind. ES is looking a bit more bullish as long as you don't lose this trend line. So what's very good about ES is notice this yellow trend line. This is the breakout area. We retested the trend line. Now we're trying to bounce off of this. So if we end up losing it, if we break this, we're going to be at risk of dipping to like 6,000 flat. As long as we hold this trend line, we're going to be attempting a bounce for 6,075, eventually 6,100. I think there's a good chance we try to push higher for 6,075 or above for a nice rebound. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For NQ, we had this downtrend. We're actually trying to bounce here. So we're looking for 21,770. If that holds, we're looking for an attempt to rebound for just under 21,900. If we lose support at 21,700, we're looking for a dump to about 21,600 or something like this way down here. So as long as we're above this blue trend line, we're favoring that we want to make a full recovery move to about 21,900 or above. Overall, looks a little bit more bullish if we could hold this blue trend line. So watch that very carefully. If we fail here, like I said before, I'm looking for 21,500 again. So it has potential. Nvidia is trying to rebound. As long as you don't end up losing 134, we're favoring a move back up to about 137 and then just under 140. So I see potential for a bounce here. For Apple, we're looking a little bit more bullish as long as you don't end up losing 243. What's interesting is we did touch 242 before it tried to rebound. So it could be looking for an attempt for essentially 245. For others out there, we have AMD. AMD is technically on a bit of a downtrend, but we're watching this trend line as resistance of this price. We're looking for 114. If it rejects here, we're looking for a move back down lower. I do think it's going to retest this trend line, but just be careful, guys. It's still not in the strongest of phases, especially if we have a gap below to fill. So, it's on a downtrend, might push to the trend line in the 114s before it tries to rebound. So just give it some time. Coin dumped even more, all the way down to about 234. It's trying to gap up, but I'm going to be very careful with this because Bitcoin's not as strong. I want to see it reclaim at least 245 to bounce. If we can't do that, we're going to be at risk of returning to like 235 again. Not looking that strong. Amazon, I talked about how 215 was a very, very key level. As long as we hold this, we could try to bounce for the 220s. If 215 fails us, we will dump a lot more. This is a very strong support, very important level. So as long as we're above that, we're looking for the 220s. Meta is going to be looking for an attempt to get back up to about 691 to 700. We came very close to filling this imbalance. We're very flat right now. So I think it's going to either dip a little bit more. So if we reject here, it's possible. If we lose the low at 682, we come down to 675 and then bounce. But if we hold 682 and we don't lose that, then this could try to bounce slowly, make its way back up towards like 695. So watch 682, see if we bounce off that or not. On Microsoft, we're trying to hold support right over here. This 405 area tends to get bought up a lot, so we'll see if we get back up to like 411 from here. And then for Google, if we break 185, we're looking for an attempt for 188. It's trying to base, so we'll give it some time. Notice the VIX is starting to dip more. It may continue to downtrend as the market tries to bounce, and that's good for Tesla. So we're getting lots of good news. So I think we may attempt to get back up to about 340, and we'll see if we break this to really start pushing for the 350s. It might touch that, reject a bit before it continues to go higher, but overall it's trying to bounce. So as long as you don't end up losing the 340s, we are looking like we want to bounce. With that being said, I thank you for listening. Have a good day, guys, and I'll be back with another upload in just a couple of hours. Thank you again for listening, and peace out.